Welcome. Thanks for being here. And I'd like to talk a little bit about the concept of astro yoga. Yoga from the Eastern standpoint is union, and prana, breath, is that vehicle that carries consciousness. And the goal of yoga traditional asana practice, where we're in poses a lot of people are familiar with, the ultimate goal of yoga is that union with consciousness and that ultimate place of samadhi or bliss. And that is sort of the evolutionary path of yoga. With bringing astrology into yoga, we're bringing an element of alchemy, which is more of a Western perspective. And there's a lot of parallels between the Western system and the Eastern system. And that is working with consciousness. And in yoga, we do sun salutations, and there's also moon salutations. The sun is more the activating part of our personalities. That is the part of our intellect. That's our consciousness, the thinking and conscious mind. And the moon center is that symbolic consciousness or the subconsciousness. It's what regulates our system. It creates memories, it records memories, and it thinks in symbols, and it's what regulates our desires, our emotions. And we can program our symbolic consciousness to become co-creators with the universe. And that aid is through the higher self or the super consciousness. And we can consciously connect to that higher self. In alchemy, or the Western system, it uses the symbol of Mercury. And so this is what's going to aid our journey in our merging in the union aspect of consciousness. So we've got the intellect, the conscious mind, which is the sun center located in the heart. And then we have the subconsciousness, which is our moon center, and that's located at the third eye. And then we have the super consciousness, and that's our Mercury center, and that's connected at our crown chakra, and that is the bridge to the higher self. So let's just start out in our practice seeing if we can sense or connect to our higher self. We all have that connection. And many times it's out there wandering somewhere. So we have to consciously call it in. So during a yoga practice, this is a time to become conscious of our connection. So you might just try this exercise with me. Just think about your higher self and just call that in. Maybe you start to sense a warmness or something at the top of your head. And once you tune into that and notice it, maybe take your hands up. Maybe you start to you can feel some energy there, and just see if you can bring your hands in close enough so you can sense that. So now you have that sense that that's your connection to your higher self. And this is going to be your bridge. And this is going to be the beginning and the ending of our yoga practices, concentrating on that connection to the higher self. And then we're going to regulate through our breath, through prana. And as we go through some of these movements, the sun and the moon salutations, we can tune in. And it's sort of this dance we play with consciousness. And yoga is that practice. It's that practice of going inwards towards yourself. So collectively in the night sky, there's a lot going on in world events. We're going to be approaching the inauguration on the 20th. And some of the unexpected or the uneasiness or that chaotic energy is actually reflected in the night sky. So what astrology and alchemy says is that which is above is that which is below. The microcosm mirrors the macrocosm. So our human vessel actually contains everything in the universe. So as these events are going on around us, we can choose to tune in and go beyond the duality and start to go beyond this dimension into, this is really a veil to another dimension. And then so as we become familiar with going inward, we start to shift ourselves and then those around us. And so where you don't become so caught up in this collective mass hysteria of reacting to these outer events. So I invite you to just tune in and start to connect to the earth, finding nurturing and sustaining energy as we do breath together. And let's extend our spine long, relax our shoulders, and soften your jaw. And just allow your breath to flow, just noticing the quality of your breath. And we're going to start to take in a full yogic breath by expanding your belly and filling your lungs from the bottom up into your low belly, into your side body, and up into your chest. Seeing if you can reach all the way to your collarbone. And then holding for a brief moment, and then exhaling your breath as slowly as you can. And then holding at the bottom of your exhale, and then beginning the cycle all over again. And just completing this yogic breath on your own. And you might add the quality of the constricting of the back of your throat to create this ha sound. It's like when you hold a mirror up in front of you and it fogs up, it's that constricting of your throat that can give you that ujjayi breath. And that will be an audible reminder that you're practicing your breath. And so no matter where you're at in your practice, your breath is your reminder. It's your barometer of where you're at. So if you notice that you might, if your breaths are shallow or they're higher up on your chest, you might be pushing yourself a little too far. You might need to back off. That breath will guide you and tell you if you need to go further into a pose or back off. And pain is part of the process of being human, and it's also a part of growth. And so there is differentiating between the good and the bad pain. You don't want to create injury. So use your breath as a way to guide how far you're going. It's more about this space inside. Let's start to add some movement to our breath as you inhale, bring your arms up towards the ceiling. On the exhale, bringing your arms back down to the ground. Inhaling up. Maybe adding some neck movement. Exhaling down. Inhale. And exhale. And the next time you come down, hold. And we're going to start to come into a twist. So placing your left palm on your right knee and kickstanding your right arm behind you. Inhaling to extend your spine. And exhale to twist, looking toward your right shoulder. And then exhale to unwind, come into the other side, placing your right palm on your left knee, kickstanding your left hand behind you. Inhale to extend, exhale to twist. And the next exhale to unwind. And then coming to all fours, hands and knees on your mat. And placing your palms underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. See if you can find a neutral spine. And we're going to start to come into cat and cow. Inhaling up for cat or cow. Looking up, bringing your heart forward, tilting your tailbone. And then exhaling the other direction for cat. And maybe adding a child's pose. Adding movement, whatever feels good. Inhaling for cow. Exhaling for cat. You're starting to bring fluid into your spine, into your joints. And then come back into your neutral spine. We're going to place our left palm underneath our nose. And then on the inhale, begin to draw your right arm up towards the ceiling. Inhaling up. And as you exhale, threading your right arm underneath your left armpit and aiming your shoulder towards your mat. And if it feels okay, you can place your shoulder on the mat to give yourself a stretch. See if you can breathe through your neck. And if you would like a little extra, you can place your left palm on your tailbone. Seeing if you can breathe into your shoulder girdle. And the next exhale to unwind, placing your left palm on the mat. Inhaling to extend your arm overhead. And exhaling to place your right palm underneath your nose. Inhaling to extend your left arm overhead. On the exhale, threading it through your right armpit, aiming your left shoulder to the mat. Maybe placing your shoulder on the mat. Maybe placing your right palm on your tailbone. And the next exhale to unwind, bringing your left arm upwards and then coming back to your neutral spine. We're going to come into a child's pose, maybe spreading your knees wide, or you can have it narrow. Maybe placing your forehead on the mat. And this is going to activate your moon center, your third eye. This is a good place to reset at any point in your practice. If you need a rest, this is a good place to be. We're going to prepare to come into our first downward facing dog. Begin to spread your fingers well, placing emphasis onto the pads of your fingertips. And then begin to tuck your toes, lifting your knees and bringing your hips up towards the sky. See if you can extend your spine long and allow your neck to hang between your shoulders. Maybe creating a bend to your knee so that you can have that extension through your spine. Maybe pedaling your heels, alleviating any tightness in your hamstrings through movement and bend in your knees. We're going to start to make a slow walk up towards the front of the mat. And the next inhale, begin to look forward and start to walk towards the front of your mat. Coming into a standing forward fold. Bend your knees well so that your chest can rest onto your thighs. This is going to allow that hinge from your hips so that you can have an extended spine.
And this will allow your neck to hang. This will allow, with each exhale, to let tension release from your shoulders and come out to the top of your head. Seeing if you can let go just a little more. Maybe grabbing opposite elbows, swaying side to side, or shaking your head left and right or up and down. Just letting go. On the next inhale, we're going to begin to roll up into standing one vertebrae at a time.
And from standing, Tadasana, this is the foundational pose of everything. See if you can find your hip to knee to ankle alignment that aligns with your body. Once you have that, sense all four corners of your feet so that you can have that foot connection, the Pada Bandha. This is going to be your earth connection, the grounding that is going to sustain all standing poses. If any point you feel off balance, just connect all four corners of your feet, and this is going to create more stability. And then coming up through your strong legs, see if you can engage through your Mula Bandha. This is your root chakra. And it's for women in that perineum area, it's a slight lifting. It's an engagement, it's a sensing, and what that is going to root down energy towards your legs. And next, coming up into your core, into your Uddiyana Bandha. This is going to be your will center. This is also what creates boundaries. This is going to be the strength of most of your poses is through your core. Once you sense that, then coming up into a broadened shoulders, extending your spine. And next, concentrate on your neck. See if you can extend it long. In the West, we tend to hunch forward a lot over our computers or looking over our phones. Maybe we have to over-exaggerate the other direction. Sensing through the Jalandhara Bandha, your neck connection. And once you have that, inhale to bring your arms overhead, activating your higher self. And then exhaling, bringing your palms to your third eye and to your moon center. And then the next exhale, bringing your palms to your heart center. This is your sun center. Take this time to think of an intention to carry yourself through the practice today. It could be just one word, and you can just silently remind yourself throughout your practice. And once you have that, exhale to come to a forward fold. Inhale to lift your heart. And then exhale, step to plank and hold. You can always come to half plank, bringing your knees to the mats. Making sure that you have engagement through your core. We'll be here for 3 full breaths, using your breath. At the bottom of the last exhale, slowly lower to your mat. We're going to set up for baby cobra. Begin to anchor through the tops of your feet. Then engaging through your core. Begin to lift your heart and extend your neck. Sort of lifting and extension at the same time. This is going to begin to open your heart. Exhale to lower to your mat. And the next time you come up into Cobra pose, you can come up, you can play with hand placements. You might come up a little higher. Inhale for Cobra, Bhujangasana. Making sure that you're finding that neck extension as you're lifting. And then exhale to lower. We're going to find our way to downward facing dog from here. You can come through child's pose. And from downward facing dog, inhale to extend the right leg long behind you. As you exhale, begin to curl your knee in towards your chest and step it towards your palms. Placing that back knee down on your mat, you're going to come into a low lunge. Inhale to extend your arms overhead. Next, placing your palms on the mat, we're going to start to rock back and forth. Inhaling forward, exhaling back, straightening the front leg. Starting to warm up your knees and your hips. Using your breath to guide your movement. And next time you come forward, start to walk your right foot out to the edge of your mat and place your palms on the inside of your foot. And we're setting up for lizard pose from here. You can stay upright onto your palms. And this is going to give you engagement through your right hip socket. Or if you'd like a little more challenge, you can come down onto your forearms for lizard pose. Using your breath. And then the next inhale, coming up onto your palms. And coming into downward facing dog from here, Adho Mukha Shavasana. On the next inhale, begin to extend your left leg long behind you. On the exhale, begin to curl your knee in towards your chest and step it towards your palms. We're going to set up for low lunge, placing your back knee down on the mat, inhaling your arms overhead. Next, placing your palms on the mat, we're going to begin to rock back and forth on the inhale, coming forward. And then exhale, straightening your front leg and rocking back. Starting to send fluid and energy through your left hip and your knee. And next time you come forward, hold and start to walk your left foot out to the edge of your mat and then placing your palms on the inside of your foot. You can stay upright onto your palms or you can come down onto your forearms for the lizard pose. Seeing if you can breathe into your left hip. Using your breath. And the next inhale, coming up into downward facing dog. And from downward facing dog, inhale to look forward, bending your knees and stepping or hopping towards the front of your mat. Inhale to lift your heart, exhale to fold. Inhale, rise to stand. Exhale, hands to heart. We're gonna come into a chair pose from here. Begin to sit back into your imaginary chair and engage through your thighs. And once you have stability, you can play with arm placement, maybe extending your arms overhead into that full chair expression. And we're going to start to rock back and forth into a drinking bird. On the exhale, bringing your palms behind you and start to rock onto your toes. And then on the inhale, bringing your arms back overhead into the chair pose. Using your breath to guide your movement. Exhaling back into your drinking bird, coming onto your toes. And next time you come up, hold into your chair pose and then bring your palms up to your heart center. And begin to twist towards your, you're gonna twist towards your left side. And bringing your elbow to the left side of your thigh to activate that twist. And then begin to step. We're gonna come into a twisting lunge from here. So begin to step your right foot behind you lightly on the next exhale. Using your breath to stabilize. And then we're going to come into an extended twist by placing your right palm on the mat and extending your left arm overhead for that twisting lunge. And next we're going to transition to downward facing dog from here. You'll be placing your palms on the mat and coming straight into downward facing dog. Next, extend your right leg long behind you. As you exhale, begin to curl your knee in towards your chest and step it towards the front of your mat. We're going to come into warrior two from here, inhaling up for warrior two. Exhale to reverse your warrior, bringing your right palm up towards the ceiling. Breathing through your right side body. And exhale, coming into an extended side angle from here. Seeing if you can find strength through your entire side body. There's a line that goes from your ankle all the way up to your fingertips. And you can find a bind from here if you'd like to choose a bind, or you can just stay in side angle. You're taking that bind, seeing if you can find that core stability and engagement through your side body. Maybe looking up towards the ceiling. We're going to come into triangle pose from here. So if you have the bind, you can keep that or you can come out. Coming into your triangle pose. And next, finding your regular triangle. And we're going to find our transition to downward facing dog. So start to cartwheel your palms towards your mat. You can come straight into downward facing dog, or you can find a vinyasa or come into child's pose. It's yogi's choice. Finding your way to downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Shavasana. From downward facing dog, we'll be here for 3 full breaths. Use this time to check in with yourself. Do we calibrate to center? Where is your breath? On the next inhale, begin to look forward, bending your knees, and step or hop towards the front of your mat. Inhaling your heart forward. Exhale to fold. And then inhaling up into chair pose from here. Maybe adding the arms. And then inhale to rise. I'm gonna come to the other side of the mat so that I'm mirroring you. We're gonna find our chair pose from here. Coming into chair. Once you find that leg engagement and core engagement, you can add your arms, inhaling your arms overhead. And then exhale to bring your arms behind you and start to shift onto your toes for drinking bird. Inhaling your arms overhead, bringing your heels down. Exhaling back, coming onto your toes. Use your breath to guide your momentum, your pace. And next time you come up into chair pose, hold. And then bring your palms to your heart center. And we're gonna come into a twisting chair, bringing your twist towards the right side of your body. Maybe hooking your left elbow onto your right knee. And then we're gonna start to come into that twisting lunge from here. So when you're ready, on the exhale, start to lightly step back with your left foot into that twisting lunge. Using your breath. And we're gonna come into that extended twisting lunge, bringing your left palm on your mat, extending your right arm overhead. And next we're gonna step right into downward facing dog from here, coming into downward facing dog. On the next inhale, begin to extend your left leg long behind you. On the exhale, begin to curl your knee in toward your chest and start to step it toward your palms. And we're gonna come up into warrior two from here. On the inhale, rise to stand into your warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. The exhale to reverse your warrior. Seeing if you can breathe through your left side body. Then we're gonna come into an extended side angle from here, finding your extended side angle. And if you're coming into your bind, you can find your bind now. Sometimes we need the limitation of binds to find a structure. As we're navigating through life, limitation is necessary in order to find patterns, and the limitation of the five senses is what focus us in a direction. We're gonna come into triangle pose from here. You can keep your bind or you can come out, finding triangle pose. We're going to find a regular triangle from here. And next we're going to transition through our downward facing dog, cartwheeling your palms towards your mat and finding your transition to downward facing dog. You can take a vinyasa or you can come straight into downward facing dog or maybe finding child's pose, yogi's choice. We'll be here in downward facing dog for 3 full breaths, using this time to reset and tune in. On the next inhale, begin to bend your knees looking forward and step or hop towards the front of your mat. Inhaling your heart forward, exhale to fold. On the next inhale, coming into chair pose from here. Maybe extending your arms overhead. Inhale to rise to stand. So we have completed the sun salutation part of our practice, and we're going to come into the feminine side of the lunar side, the moon salutation. So I'm going to mirror you by coming to the end of my mat. Starting at the top of your mat, inhale your arms overhead. Exhale to shift your right for crescent. Inhale for center. Exhale to shift to your left. Inhale for center. And then at the exhale, begin to step your left leg wide along your mat, finding star pose. Exhale for goddess. Inhale for star. This is your full moon expression. Next, we're going to come into triangle pose from here, starting to shift your left foot towards the end of your mat, reaching your left arm forward and coming into your triangle pose. This is your waning gibbous phase of the moon. Next, we're going to come into pyramid pose. So you're going to bring your hips parallel to the end of the mat and hopping that back foot in a little bit. Inhale to extend your spine. On the exhale, begin to hinge from your hips, finding pyramid. You might have a slight bend to your front knee. Seeing if you can find an extended spine. Your moon is continuing to wane. Next, we're going to find our quarter moon expression. Begin to put that back knee down on your mat, keeping a 90-degree to your front knee. Inhaling your arms overhead for your low lunge. See if you can find an extended and neutral spine. And next we're going to shift into a surfer's pose on the left side, or Skandasana. This is your crescent phase of the moon. And you can play with different arm placements from here. And next we're going to shift to the center of the mat for Malasana Squat. This is your new moon expression. This is a place where it all begins for a new cycle to set new intentions. And following the phases of the moon are a good way to connect with your interior stars, as above, so below, as within, as without. As the universe is a mirror for us, we can set intentions internally to reflect that outward, and we can receive feedback from the universe. By just observing the moon cycles and setting your intentions, you can start to glean that information and become co-creators with the universe. And next, we're going to shift to Skandasana, or surfer's pose, on the right side. And this is our current phase of the moon right now. And this is a time where our intentions are starting to take seed, starting to set tap roots down. Just a little, the ideas are starting to form, and we're starting to go in a direction. Right now, the moon is in a waxing crescent phase in the sign of Pisces. Next, we're going to come into that low lunge, placing the back knee down on the mat, keeping a 90-degree at your front knee. Inhale to extend your arms overhead, finding your neutral pelvis and extended spine. Next, we're going to come into pyramid pose from here, hopping that back foot in a little bit. See if you can find an extended spine. As your moon is continuing to wane, it's getting larger. And next, we're going to come into triangle pose from here. So hopping that back foot out a little bit. And as you prepare to come up into triangle, start to bring your left arm up towards the sky like a clock striking midnight. This is your gibbous waxing phase as the moon is almost full. See if you can find integrity through your core, stability. And next, we're going to come back to that full moon expression, mindfully bringing your hips up so that you can find your star expression, taking up as much space as you can as you're reflecting the light of the sun. Finding your full expression. Exhale for goddess. Inhale for star. And now we're going to create that path of return. So we're going to do everything we just did on the other side, going to the other side of your mat so that I can mirror you. Inhaling your arms overhead. Exhale to shift to your right for crescent. Inhale for center. Exhale to shift to your left. Inhale for center. And then exhale, begin to step your right foot wide along your mat, finding star pose for your full moon expression. Seeing if you can grow your fingertips even longer, taking up as much space as you can. Exhale for star, or goddess, from star to goddess. And then coming back to star. We're going to start to shift into that gibbous phase of the moon. So pointing your foot towards the end of your mat and reaching your arm forward, and then coming into your triangle pose from here. This is your waning gibbous phase. And next we're going to shift into pyramid pose from here. Begin to parallel your hips towards the end of your mat, hopping that back foot in. Inhale to extend your spine. As you exhale, begin to hinge from your hips, folding forward, finding pyramid pose. See if you can find an extended spine as your moon is continuing to wane. And then placing the back knee on your mat, finding your quarter moon expression for your low lunge. Inhaling your arms overhead. Finding a neutral pelvis and an extended spine. And next, shifting into Skandasana or surfer's pose on your right for your waning crescent phase. Playing with the different arm placements. And then shifting to the center of your mat for Malasana Squat to find your new moon expression. Tuning into your intention for this cycle. And then we're going to shift into our crescent phase on the other side. Coming to your left for Skandasana. And this is our current phase of the moon, that waxing crescent phase. It's in the sign of Pisces. So Pisces is the two fish. And if you disturb or scare the fish, so they're going to dive into the ocean or the water, and they're going to hide. So this might be a reaction to sudden outbursts or unexpected emotional eruptions. But the gift of Pisces is that empathy and compassion. And part of compassion is self-care as well. As your intentions are starting to take seed, watching your intentions grow, we're going to shift to the next phase of our moon into quarter moon, bringing the back knee down on your mat, hitting a 90-degree with your front knee, inhaling your arms overhead, finding neutral pelvis and extended spine. And next, shifting into pyramid from the ground up, hopping that back foot in, creating a bend to the front knee, finding an extended spine. So your waxing moon is continuing to get larger. Seeing your intentions grow through this cycle as more movement and momentum is taking hold. And next we're going to come into triangle from the ground up. Start to hop that back foot out. And you're going to shift your right arm up towards the ceiling like a clock striking midnight. Bringing that arm up and engaging through your core to find stability and strength. For your gibbous phase of the moon. And next we're going to shift into our full moon expression, mindfully bringing your hips up for star pose. Extending your arms wide, finding full expression of the cycle. Exhale for goddess. Inhale for star. And we have just completed the full lunar cycles. And now we're going to start to shift, wind down our practice. We're going to come into a wide leg forward fold, bringing your hands to your hips. Inhale to extend your spine. Exhale to hinge, coming into a wide leg forward fold. And bring your palms underneath your shoulders so that you have a neutral spine. And next, bring your left palm underneath your nose. And as you inhale, begin to reach your right arm up towards the ceiling, skyward, finding your twist. Your next exhale to unwind, bringing your right palm underneath your nose. On the inhale, begin to reach your left arm up towards the sky, finding your twist. Your next exhale to unwind. And next we're going to find downward facing dog arms by reaching your arms out, finding an extended spine. And then we're going to come through the other direction, bringing your palms towards underneath your pelvis so that your head is hanging in a slight inversion. You might find a bend to your knee so that you can alleviate any strain to your hamstrings. And then bringing your palms underneath your shoulders, finding your neutral spine. We're going to start to hinge up, maybe bringing your palms towards your pelvis as you hinge up, inhaling to stand. And then on the exhale, hop your feet together. And then we're going to start to come down onto our mats into that Malasana Squat, finding Malasana. And then gently come down onto your sits bones. And you start to extend your legs out in front of you, maybe pulling the flesh out from underneath so that you can have that connection with your sits bones. And we're going to come into their seated forward fold, maybe creating a bend to your knee. And on the inhale, you're going to extend your arms overhead. And on the exhale, begin to hinge from your hips. So using the inhales for extension and exhales for reach. And when you have as much reach as you can get, you can start to fold over. And inhale to rise. And we're going to come into our twists from here. So bringing your right foot over around your left knee. You're going to kickstand your right arm behind you. You're going to inhale your left arm overhead. And as you exhale, begin to hook that left elbow towards your right knee. Extending your spine as you exhale, begin to twist, looking toward your right shoulder. Using the inhales to extend and the exhales to twist. And the next exhale to unwind, straightening that leg and then bringing the left ankle around the right knee. Kickstanding the left arm behind you. Inhale to extend your right arm overhead. As you exhale, begin to hinge that elbow towards your left knee. Inhale to extend, exhale to twist, looking toward your left shoulder. And then exhale to unwind. We're going to start to roll down one vertebrae at a time onto your mat. Seeing if you can use your core to stabilize as you lower. And start to bring your knees into your chest. Maybe rocking back and forth, giving yourself a low back massage. And start to bring your knees to a 90-degree angle. And we're going to come into a reclined pigeon pose from here. So start to bring your right ankle over your left knee into a figure 4. And then reach underneath your knee or your thigh and clasp it for resistance. And decide how much resistance you need as you start to bring that knee towards you. You're going to find a stretch in your right hip socket. Use your breath. Seeing if you can release any emotional residue in your right hips. And the next exhale to unwind. Placing your left knee over your right, or your left ankle over your right knee into that figure 4 on the other side. And then reaching underneath with your palms towards underneath your knee or your thigh. Finding the resistance you need to find the stretch on the left hip socket. You might notice that this side is a little tighter. Just sending breath to all those spaces, seeing what you can let go of. And the next exhale to unwind. And maybe giving yourself a hug, rocking back and forth. We're going to prepare to come into our final relaxation pose. So taking any final poses that you might need, maybe happy baby or reclined side stretches. Just taking what you need to complete your practice. And when you're ready, coming into Shavasana, that final relaxation pose, corpse pose. It's in the state of rest that we do our integrating. At an unconscious level, that symbolic consciousness is reintegrating all the changes at a cellular level are starting to become realigned as prana and breath was sent to areas and activated new neurons, new neural pathways. And it's during that state of rest that we can allow these transformations to occur on their own. As your body has the wisdom. It knows what it needs. Just allowing yourself in the state of rest to reabsorb back into yourself. Allowing yourself to let go a little more with each exhale. Seeing if you can withdraw a little more into yourself with each exhale. Just allowing and receiving. Om, peace, peace, peace. Om, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Begin to deepen your breath and finding some small movements, maybe wiggling your fingers and your toes, finding some stretches. And as you feel called, meeting me in seated position. And bringing your palms to heart center. Realigning with that intention that you set at the beginning of practice. It is truly an honor to practice with a community aligning with your intention and taking that time for self-care is vital to maintain a practice of going inwards to the extent that you can care for yourself, the extent that you can be there to care for others. Truly taking that time for self-care is vital to our collective growth as we start to cultivate our vessels through alchemy. We start to bring in more light and we start to shift the vibration of ourselves and those around us. The teacher in me honors and sees the teacher in all of you. Thank you.